Hello everyone, Clock the Game here, and I'm just coming at you with another deck profile. At the moment, just because it's been coming up to tournament season, I've been focusing on more serious decks rather than my usual fun meme decks. I've only ever really done one tournament season in Weiss, and that was a few years ago, and I ended up going to Belgium. Round one, I ended up getting placed against one of the best players in Europe, and got absolutely curb stomped. But it was a fun experience anyway. But now I've actually got the time to put in a little bit to Vice again. I'd like to be doing something a little bit more competitive, and so one of the sets that I ended up picking up was Saekano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend. And I really fell in love with this series, and I really fell in love with the set. I think it's a very, very fun set, and I think it's got the potential to be a rogue deck. Just because I think that there is a lot of decks at the moment that can't deal with memory compression. So, without further ado, we'll get into this deck. And so the whole gist of this deck is to try and compress yourself to the point where you are just revealing climaxes and cancelling damage and everything like that, and it becomes very, very difficult for your opponent to deal with that. And my reasoning about why I'm wanting to run this deck is it's very much like kind of like Tokyo Revengers. I know you don't get as big as Tokyo Revengers, but certainly the stock or memory compression is a real big threat. And I think what this deck has over Tokyo Revengers is that this goes to memory instead. But anyway, here are some of the main cards for it. So you've got this level 0 Izumi, and what this is, it's a centre runner, but it's also a pay 1, put this into memory, check top 4 and add a character. And I believe it's ditch 1 as well. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, I'm getting my card effects confused. But yes, this is one of your bread and butter cards for the memory compression. So you can always send her to memory, check top 4. It's very good at burning through your deck, especially if you're in a bad deck state. And this is also a really good card to have in your opening hand, because this effect is not on play. You can do it whenever. So if she survives a turn, you can use a next turn to dig through some cards. Another one of your bread and butter cards is the Nostalgic Memory Edity. She gives something 2000 when she's placed on stage. That's really, really handy for getting over your opponent's board. But what we usually use her for is the pay 1, ditch 1. When she is reversed, search your deck for a character, add it to hand, but send her to memory as well. So what you can do is if you open an Izumi and open a Edity, you're in a good state for memory. Also, this allows you to search out your level 1 combo. Also, as well, if you want to search out any more memory compression pieces, you want this card. Now, I do run the Negotiation Between a Boy and a Girl Utaha. I like this. I really, really like cards like this where it's pay 1 to stock, pay 1 from hand to stock, sorry. So that's stock gen. And then when she attacks, you pay 1 double trigger. I really like cards like this. I think they're so handy for getting, excess climaxes or excess characters that you don't need out of your hand. And especially in the level 3 game, this card really comes important when it comes to the level 3 game. Because this deck isn't fantastic at generating stock. There are some pieces that you can use, like this card and the level 1 event, to generate stock, but on the whole, you've not got a massive stock generation in this deck. So if you're trying to triple combo and you've got one of these in hand, you can ditch a card out of your hand to stock to make sure you can play triple combo. And then just the on reverse Yutahariki goes to memory, and it's a pay 1, take a damage, salvage, and then she goes to memory. Very, very handy card to have in any deck. I like this World's Happiest Heroine Megumi. She is you can ditch 1, because so you'll see that there's a lot of hand filter in this deck. So she ditches a card from hand. When she hits waiting room, she goes to memory, and you can look at top 3 cards, add a character. She's just very, very handy, and if she's the only, but she only goes to memory if she's the only green card in memory. So if you've got another green card, she doesn't go to memory. but still very, very handy nonetheless. And you can see with this deck how fast you can go through your deck, especially if you're in a bad deck state. I remember having a game a week or so ago with my friend, and I ended up opening 5 climaxes. Fortunately, I was able to hand filter and burn my way through my deck to the point where I refreshed with all 8 climaxes back in, and subsequently went to win the game. That was very, very handy, and I think that's one of the strengths of this deck, that you can, very much like Danmachi in the way, burn through your deck very, very quickly, but also you're getting memory compression, and the longer your opponent leaves you, the more scary this deck gets, I think, because you're able to become more and more and more compressed. I like running this Megumi. She's a level 0 killer, but she's also, if she's stood, I can pay 1 to salvage the level 1 combo from waiting room. Just very, very handy. Nice little way of getting a level 1 combo if you end up in the situation where you've not seen it already. And this is where the main kind of combos come in. So this is a brainstorm, but it's also pay it, put it into waiting room, and search out one of the level 1 brainstorms as well. And what you'll see with Saekano, if you've not come across it before, is that this changes into the level 1, and level 1 changes into the level 2, and the level 2 changes into the level 3. So you've got a nice kind of circuit running through your deck, which is very nice to deal with. Then we've got the 2 one-obs. We've got the Climax Swapper Eridi and the Cat-Eared Eridi. I like her because she gives power. She allows you to get overboard. So she gives power to the center stage, but she's also ditch 1 and salvage a character. And I just really, really like that. It's so handy to get your your level 1 combos or your finishers to hand. So I've got the new Path You Chose to Walk Megumi. Very good card. She gains power with how many back row you've got, and you do get back rows as well in this deck that give you some power, or other characters that give you power. So she can become quite big. And when she attacks, what I like about this card is that it ignores your opponent's board. It does its thing, even like you don't have to reverse, you don't have to pay anything. And when it's on attack, you mill 2 and salvage up to the levels of that. If you salvage a level 3, you bounce an opponent's character. And I think that's very, very, very handy for getting over big problematic cards, as well as getting rid of really irritating cards that you don't want the on-reverse effects to go off with. Now this is level 1 that I was speaking about. Very good card. It gives 500 assist in front. You can pay 1, put this card into your memory, and tutor out the level 2 if you are level 2 as well, so becomes very, very handy. And this is the thing with the Saekano deck. It's not amazing at creating stock, but it also consistently uses 1 to 2 stock a turn, especially if you're using this. So you've got 2 of these on your back row, you're level 2, you want to tutor out in the climax phase your level 2s. And it's also a brainstorm as well that searches. Now, this card is absolutely amazing. It's an event, and essentially what happens is that it goes to the bottom of your deck. You search a character and you stock a character from waiting room, but you have to tap 2 of your standing characters. So the idea is that you want to help generate some more stock by tapping useless characters, or the level 1s or the level 2s that you're going to swap out anyway. Very, very good card. Now, I'd like to do a bit longer deck profiles, in all honesty, and go a bit more into depth with them, but YouTube seems to be limiting me to 15-minute videos at the moment, so that's why I'm going through things a little bit quicker than I probably normally would. This is your level 2. It's a level 2 assist, but it changes from the level 1 that I've just mentioned, so make sure you've got these into waiting room. As you'll notice, there's a lot of hand filter, there's a lot of ditching, and there's a lot of ways to put things into your waiting room in this deck. It's because you want the level 1s and the level 2s in your waiting room, and you also want the level 3s as well, because everything swaps into it. So she's a level assist. but also pay 1, send it to memory, and tutor out the level 3 Megumi when you are level 3. I have made the mistake once or twice of doing this a bit early when I was level 2 and, rightfully got pulled up on it. It was when I was learning the deck. So just be aware of that you can't, it's not an early player. But anyway, so level 3s, this is your bread and butter for the level 3s. This is a new story Megumi. It gains effects depending on how many you've got in memory. If you've got 2 or more cards in memory, it gains 2,000 power during your turn. If there are 3 or more cards in memory, your opponent can't play backups from the hands. If there are 4 or more, or during that card's battle, sorry, if there are 4 or more cards in memory, it can't be chosen by your opponent's effects. Now, this is one of the reasons why I think this deck is going to be really good. Not just the memory compression, but also the fact that you can generate memory so easily and then have this be completely hexproof really shuts down quite a lot of decks. You see a lot of Hololive decks with rest counters running around, and you see a lot of Overlord decks with some really nasty counters going around, the Neg-Soul counters and things like that. And if you've just got a massive Megumi on board that is completely hexproof, I think that's really, really, really strong, and it shuts down a lot of potential outplays that your opponent can try and do against you. The other effects are when it's played through the change effect or through just playing it from hand, you heal 1, and then also on the reversing of your opponent's card, you pay 1, burn 2. Very simple effect. It's not the most explosive. It's not, something like Gura or Itsuki or anything like that. But it's a very, very consistent finisher. And that's what I like about this card. And then lastly, I run some of the one-offs. This is just an early play. This is an early play that's two or less climaxes in waiting room. Early play heal 1, she gains power as well, which is nice. This is, when played, look at top X cards depending on how many characters you have and add a card. So this is to dig for your climax or dig for your, second or third combo piece. And in probably about maybe 30 or 40% of games, my board won't be triple finisher combo. It will be this and then 2 other Megumis with combo. Also, she's on attack, pay 1, ditch 2, burn 1, but then choose a character in your opponent's waiting room, put it on the top of their deck. So you get guaranteed damage. And what I like doing with this is I like siding with this as my kind of final attack. So I've got that guaranteed 1 damage on the top of my opponent's deck. Oops. And then I run one of this Utah. It's also an early play. If I've got 4 or more game characters, -1 level. It gains 1,500 if they're all game characters. It's got Encore to it too. Ditch a character, and when it's placed on stage, you can pay 1 and choose a climax in waiting room. And that's really it. And I find that Utah very, very handy, because sometimes you do get a deck state or a hand state, sorry, where you've just not got a climax in hand, and you really, really want to push for that finishing move. But yes, that is it for the Saekano deck profile. And I'm hoping to do a lot more on Saekano, because it is it's a set, that I have thoroughly, thoroughly fallen in love with, and I can't wait to see what new cards we get in the Bunko, the new upcoming Bunko set as well. I'm hoping we see some really nice power cards that will help Saekano climb from being a rogue deck to being an actual deck again. Well, thank you for listening, and I will make sure that I upload a bit more regularly. Life has been kicking me to the curb at the moment. If you didn't know, I am doing a PhD, and that has been really putting me through the ringer. So that's why uploads have been very, very sparse recently. But thank you for listening anyway, and God bless.